Let's go. Proverbs 29, day 29. All right, guys. So I know that it's March 1st, so we're going into a little bit into March. Um, so today we're on 29, and then we have 30 and 31 left, and then we are all completed and through Proverbs. So thank you for sticking along. If you did, got 2 more days left. Let's jump straight into it. We're going to read Proverbs 29. It looks like it's about 27 verses, and then I have some verses I want to highlight, and then I have some notes that I want to share with y'all. So let's go. Let's get into it. Alrighty, guys. So from verse 1 to verse 10 is going to be titled Rejoicing in Righteous Rule. So Proverbs 29, verse 1. Let's go. He that being often reproved hardeneth his neck, and shall suddenly be destroyed and without remedy. When the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice, but when the wicked beareth rule, the people mourn. Verse 3. Whoso loveth wisdom rejoiceth his father, but he that keepeth company with harlots spendeth his substance. The king by judgment established the land, but he that receiveth gifts overthroweth. A man that flattereth his neighbor spreadeth a net for his feet. In the transgression of an evil man there is a snare, but the righteous doeth sing and rejoice. The righteous considereth the cause of the poor, but the wicked regardeth not to know it. Scornful men bring a city into snare, but wise men turn away wrath. If a wise man contendeth with a foolish man, whether he rage or laugh, there is no rest. The bloodthirsty hate the upright, but the just seek his soul. Alright, guys, and then from verse 11 to 14, the next 3 verses is going to be titled The Fool Utters All His Mind. Verse 11. A fool uttereth all his mind, but a wise man keepeth it till afterwards. If a ruler hearken to lies, all his servants are wicked. The poor and the deceitful man meet together, the Lord lighteneth both their eyes. The king that faithfully judgeth the poor, his throne shall be established forever. So from verse 15 to 21 is going to be titled Reproof and the Rod Bringing Wisdom. Verse 15. The rod and reproof give wisdom, but a child left to himself bringeth his mother to shame. When the wicked are multiplied, transgression increaseth, but the righteous shall see their fall. Verse 17. Correct thy son, and he shall give thee rest. Yea, he shall give delight unto soul. Where there is no vision, the people perish, but he that keepeth the law, happy is he. A servant will not be corrected by words, for though he understand, he will not answer. Seest thou a man that is hasty in his words? There is more hope for a fool than of him. Verse 21. He that delicately bringeth up his servants from a child shall have him become his son at the length. Alright, so from verse 22 to 27, the rest of the verses, they're going to be titled A Man's Pride. Verse 22. An angry man stirreth up strife, and a furious man aboundeth in transgression. A man's pride shall bring him low, but honor shall uphold the humble in spirit. Whoso is partner with a thief hateth his own soul. He heareth cursing and bewrayeth it not. The fear of man bringeth a snare, but whoever so putteth his trust in the Lord shall be safe. Many seek the Lord's favor, but every man's judgment cometh from the Lord. Last verse. An unjust man is an abomination to the just, and he that is upright in the way is abomination to the wicked. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and just go over some of the highlight verses that I have in this chapter. Some are going to explain, some are not, and then I'm going to go over some of my notes. Alright, so verse 1 is one that I wanted to go over. So verse 1. He that bring often reproved hardeneth his neck, shall suddenly be destroyed and without remedy. So it's just telling us that, just kind of off of yesterday's notes as well, it's in the same section. Better to be righteous than wicked, be humble and be teachable. Alright, so the next verse that I wanted to go over is going to be verse 5. A man that flattereth his neighbor spreadeth a net for his feet. So obviously that's a trap. So off of the notes here, could be setting a trap. Do not be easily flattered. Have discernment. Do not be deceiving or distracted. Then for verse 9 and 10, verse 9, if a wise man contendeth with a foolish man, whether he rage or laugh, there is no rest. And verse 10, the bloodthirsty hate the upright, but the just seek his soul. So with that being added on with the notes, it basically, what I had written on here is, do not waste wisdom, don't argue with fools, make sure to handle your emotions or take them to God. Do not always vent all of your feelings, very foolish to vent or gossip. There's a time and place. Your feelings are not always right. Work through it, and don't trust your feelings, trust the word of God. The next one that I wanted to go over is actually going to be verse 11, kind of going back to those last notes. A fool uttereth all his mind, but a wise man keepeth it till afterward. So that's what it's talking about, venting or gossip. And the reason why I bring that up is just because it's not always healthy. It's not always right to vent or to gossip, because trauma dumping doesn't really do anything. All it does is put the other person in a corner. And on top of that, since you're already venting, you're already emotional, you're pretty much already letting it all out anyway, that whenever that person comes back with something, if it's not just listening, you're probably gonna get furious. You're probably gonna be like, why are you judging me, etc. So usually it's not a good thing. Just take it to God, work through it, and just see what happens next. All right, so verse 18, where there is no vision the people perish, but he that keepeth the law, happy is he. All right, so the notes for 18, do not have sight without vision, have revelation and discernment, ask God and he will provide. Then for verse 20, seest thou a man that is hasty in his words? There is more hope of a fool than of him. So it's just telling us to be slow to speak, how we've seen in Proverbs before. Then 22, 23, 25, and 27. I know, a lot of verses. But 23, an angry man stirreth up strife, and a fierce man aboundeth in transgression. So, and then 23, a man's pride shall bring him low, but honor shall uphold the humble in spirit. So let God have his way, remain humble, don't be hot-tempered, is the notes that I have for that. Then 25, the fear of the man bringeth the snare, but whoso putteth his trust in the Lord shall be safe. That speaks for itself, you know. Then lastly, 27, an unjust man is an abomination to the just, but he that is upright in his way is an abomination to the wicked. So it's throughout this chapter, it also talks about the fear of the Lord, which we've spoken about a lot throughout Proverbs. So and this one intentionally I put on here that fear is not from God, confusion is not from God. So even though it's talking about fear of the Lord, at the same time, fear is not from God. Obtaining wisdom, we have to obtain wisdom, learn the word, humble yourself, acknowledge that I know nothing, but that God knows everything. That a wise man knows nothing and can only learn from God or learn from his word. For verse 27 is really about just obtaining wisdom, just humbling yourself and bringing yourself before God and just letting him work everything out. So if you stayed this long, thank you very much. God bless y'all. I hope they have an amazing Sunday. We got 2 more days left, man. Proverbs 30 and Proverbs 31. So by Tuesday, that will be the last day. And then from that point, we'll decide to see what's up next. But thank you for staying along. God bless y'all and peace.